So Aimpoint's been making red dot sights for a few decades, and our military's been fielding those red dot sights. And so what happens is Aimpoint has become very proficient at manufacturing a red dot sight. And they've decided recently that they were going to take, what they do best and come up with a model that was targeted to law enforcement. And the reason why they did that is a lot of law enforcement agencies don't have a ton of money. They want to be able to get them a good quality red dot sight with all of the Aimpoint features, all of the ruggedness that Aimpoint is known for, but without breaking the bank. Now, Aimpoint's done this before in the past, right? Years ago, they had an Aimpoint PRO or the Aimpoint Pro, and that was an optic that was loosely based on the M68 with a simplified body design, with a really cool mount that was designed for law enforcement, and it was popular. So Aimpoint's like, look, let's do this again, but let's start with everything that we've learned since then and take all of the modern features that we've incorporated into our red dots, and let's do something with that. And that's the red dot that you see here. This is the Aimpoint Duty RDS. It sells for less than $500. There's a number of features about this red dot sight that make it awesome. Granted, it was designed for law enforcement, so that means it's designed to be extremely rugged, and it's designed to not be super expensive. But that appeals to, me, just as kind of a Joe Lunch Pail civilian guy. And so one of the things I love about this red dot sight is that this is a forged aluminum housing. And the way I describe that is I call it, it's got a fat guy rating, right? So you can be as big as you want with all of your lickies and chewies strapped on, run as fast as you can, maybe with a little downhill so you can get the speed up, and pile drive you and all of your gear right onto this red dot sight, and you're not gonna hurt it, right? It's a forged aluminum housing. And the reason that's important is if you can keep your housing from deforming, you protect everything inside. A lot of times people will look at red dot sights and they'll be like, hey, this thing is, whatever, 400, 450. This other red dot sight looks really similar. So, I turn it on, there's red dots in both of them. Maybe I should get the cheaper one. Here's why that's a bad idea. A couple years ago, I was talking to one of the guys at Aimpoint. His job was, he was the liaison with the military. And he said when the military first started fielding our red dot sights, we would get sights in for repair. Things would break, right? There's a war going, a couple wars going, and these are young guys that are hard on stuff. They tear things up, no big deal. Well, what would happen is every time an optic would come in for repair, Aimpoint would autopsy that thing, figure out what was wrong, and they got smarter, right? How they made their circuit boards changed, how they attached circuit boards inside the housing, how they designed and made their diodes. All of that changed and got refined. And to the point where a couple years ago, he was kind of lamenting the good old days. He's like, nothing ever comes in anymore. He's like, if they run over it with a tank, we might see it, but hey, congratulations, you flattened it. And so all of that information and knowledge is in this red dot sight. One of the things that differentiates this from other optics that might look similar is that this is a multiple diode emitter. And so you buy that cheap red dot, there's one emitter in there. And when you change your illumination settings, you'll see it turn on and off. This one's got a bunch of diodes in there, and they're all collimated or aimed to the same point. So as you cycle through your settings, that's why you'll see a kind of a gradual increase in intensity. And that, to you as a customer, is a way to assess quality of one red dot versus the other. If you see it turn it on and off, single emitter, if that emitter dies on you, this thing's busted. This one's got multiple diodes. If there is a problem, the unthinkable happens, it's still going to work. Now, this comes with 4 night vision, 6 daytime settings. It takes a 2032 battery with like 30,000 hours of battery life. So, every couple of years, swap it out. Additionally, I really like these covers that come on the Duty RDS. It ships. It's got a 39 millimeter mount, which here in America is 1.5 inches. It's also got a spacer you can swap out and set it at 1.2 if you want it to co-witness with your iron sights. So the Aimpoint Duty RDS, sure, it was designed for law enforcement, forged housing, all of the tricks of the trade that Aimpoint's learned over a couple of decades of war and hardcore use. But it's an inexpensive red dot sight that's great for anyone.